Today we are discussing very interesting and very useful relevant topic, that is the how this motivation is related to the leadership. So, we will discuss about we will try to understand what is the motivation, then the types and importance of motivation, motivational approaches, leadership qualities to motivate and inspire your team, why motivation matters in leadership, then the as usual the case study, research papers, book recommendation and the references is there, right. Now, this is the basically if you define that technically from the Latin word mover, which means to move, right, and the processes that account for an individual's intensity, direction and persistence of effort toward attaining a goal is there. So, here we will find that is the whenever we are talking about the individual's intensity to work, intensity to do, right, and naturally here that process of direction is very important. Do, but what to do, when to do, how to do, where to do, right. So, therefore, in that case that direction, especially what to do and when to do is there, right, and persistence of efforts towards attaining a goal. So, that goal which we want to attain. So, that's intensity to attain that goal, no, that is very important is there, how much you want to attain the goal. And that intensity, in other terms I can say that is it is a willingness to do. And you will find that a human brain when decides to do something, then irrespective of whatever the barriers are there, that the brain will do that particular the act or attain the goal, whatever the social or economical especially. Many times when we ask people that why you could not do this thing, right, and then he will say, sir, my economic condition was not good, my social condition was not good. On the other side, we find that is the people much poorer as compared to that person are able to attain the goal. Much people have attained the goals irrespective of their non-social support, right, and therefore, in that case it becomes very important, that is whatever the intensity the person is having, and if it is to anyhow I have to achieve the goal, then that will be the always the motive to move, right. When we are talking about the leadership is there, so therefore, in that case it is a direction is there. So, motivation is a process that initiates, if we talk completely about this process of motivation. So, then this motivation is having the initiate. So, this process of motivation which we are talking about, that is going to be the initiate, then the guides, right, and that is the direction whenever we are relating it with the direction, and maintains a goal oriented behavior is there. Ultimately, that goal has to be achieved. So, here it becomes important that when how persons the willingness is there, how person is going to get that direction is important, right. That is you can say that as we have talked about the leader's role. So, leader is a friend also, leader is a mentor also, leader is a teacher also, leader is a facilitator also, leader is a guide also, leader is a supervisor also, leader is a manager also. So, therefore, there are so many roles of the direction provider is there. So, it is the motivation is an important factor which encourages person to give their best performance. And recently we have seen in the Olympic that is Mirabai Chanu and Neeraj Chopra. So, these are the examples to give their best performance, and in hockey teams also in India. So, that is the that help in reaching the enterprise goals. So, therefore, this is the best performance, no. So, whatever the best performance is there. In our context, we are talking about the enterprise goals for the players. It is the best performance they have given. So, therefore, in that case, we will find that is the whatever the motivation level of the performer is there, irrespective of profession. So, he is a player or he is artist in paintings and all, or he is a teacher, or he is a student, whatever it is there. So, therefore, it plays a very important role in attaining the goals is there. So, lot of research has been done, and then it has been seen that is the certain definitions which are relevant to in our context discussion is Berelson and the Skinner. A motive is an inner state. It is an inner state. So, that is a cognitive state that energizes, activates or moves and directs or channels behavioral goals are there. So, therefore, it is the internal energy, right, energy which he activates. Now, that is also we have to interpret these the terminologies and the contents in a proper context, like in the case of that is a positive act, positive goal, socially acceptable goals. So, therefore, in that case that will be the energies and that will be activation, right. So, towards that positive goals, right, and as a result of which the goal has been achieved. Joseph Cohen has defined motivation as the inner thrust behind the behavior is there. So, whenever we talk about the attitude, a relationship between the attitude. So, attitude will be there, and this attitude will lead to the behavior. So, that the inner thrust behind the behavior. So, inner thrust is attitude, right, and naturally behavior is an action. So, this is the action we are talking about. Now, means it is required both. It is required your cognitive level and it is also required your action, and therefore, in that case you will find that is the whenever we are talking about these particular aspects, then it is very important your state of mind and your line of action. When state of mind and action both will match, right, then that will be the motivation will be there. High motivation will be there. The Encyclopedia of Management, motivation refers to the degree of readiness of an organism to pursue some designated goal and implies the determination of the nature and the locus of the forces, including the degree of readiness. So, this degree of readiness is nothing but it is a motive, it is the inner thrust, right, which is making him to ready to do that particular task. Dubin has mentioned the definition as the motivation is a complex of forces starting and keeping a person at work in an organization is there, and naturally that state of mind is to continue with the organization, that is a motivation is there. Now, there are two types of motivations, intrinsic motivation and extrinsic motivation is there. Whenever we are talking about the intrinsic motivation can arise from the self generated factors that influence people's behavior. It is not created by external incentives. So, that is by within the person wants to achieve those goals by himself, within is there. So, there is nothing the external or extrinsic motivation. So, what is extrinsic motivation? Things are done or for people to motivate them. Examples are, there is the interest and enjoyment in the task itself, that is enjoyment, the purpose, growth, curiosity, passion, self expression and fun. If these are the reasons for the motive to achieve the goal, then we will say it is a intrinsic motivation is there. When it is the outcome is there to result by the doing the task because of the promotion, pay rises, bonuses, benefits, prizes, winning, perks. So, therefore, if these are the factors are there, right, then definitely that will be the extrinsic motivation is there. So, these are the things which have been introduced to achieve, so that the person should feel motivated, and then that will be becoming there, achieving the goal is there, performance will be better. So, first and foremost is why we should motivate somebody for the higher level of performance. So, organization must ensure that the employees have a high degree of motivation, because highly motivated employees put extra effort into work and have a sense of belonging for the organization. So, then that will be them. Low employee turnover and absenteeism is there, that is the outcome is there. So, person is feel motivated, so he will be at the job, he will not think to leave the job, change the organization, employees turnover will be low and the people will like to come on the work, and therefore, in that case it will be reducing the absenteeism also, and the quality of these production will be better, wastages and disruption in production schedule, that will be minimum. So, low level of the absenteeism causes a low level of the production, poor quality, right. So, therefore, in that case, in spite of that, it is better that is the person comes himself with a high motivation at the workplace. Acceptance of organizational change, social change and technology evolution happens in the external environmental factors are there, and therefore, that affects the motivation of the employees. So, management must ensure that the changes are introduced in the organization and its benefits explained to the employees, so that there is no resistance to change and organizational growth is achieved. Now, the one example I would like to give, that is the introduction of technology, right. So, whenever we are talking about the introduction of technology, there is a resistance is there. So, I remember in banking industry in India, when the computer was introduced in early 80s, so then at that time it is around early 80s. So, at that time it is that employees have given the resistance, and today we see that whole banking industry including SBI we see, that is the mobile banking, right. So, the growth, the achievement, it has been very fantastic. So, therefore, in that case the whatever the changes are there, so first they demotivate you because they make you unstable, but the changes are better, and therefore, in that case there is no resistance to change and organizational growth is achieved. Then organizational image, employees are the mirrors of any organization, right. You see that is the, if you want to know the culture of any organization, then you can just watch an employee who is working at the organization, and then you will find that what type of the culture is there in the organization. Regular training and development program should be organized to keep employee updated with latest skills, right. So, therefore, in that case those type of the regular programs which will be keep on them motivating, keep on them making the high gradation skills. So, therefore, they feel upliftment, and whenever they feel the upliftment at the workplace, so then definitely they will be having the more motivation. It will have a positive impact on the employees and the image of the organization will be improved. Now you see that is when the employees are doing better, organization's image is better, organization's image is better, employees are more motivated. So, it is a vicious circle, and therefore, but from where to start? It has to be start with the employees, because the employees are creating the organization. Organization image cannot create the employees, that is a culture, organization culture will be there, but in the beginning that culture is to be built by the employees, and therefore, the employee should be highly motivated in the beginning, so that once their image is created and then whoever is joins, so because of that culture he is also always feel the motivated. So, 5 motivational approaches are there. Maslow's hierarchy of needs, satisfy the needs to change behavior, achievement orientation, goal setting, and the operant approach is there. The empowerment give people autonomy and latitude to increase their motivation for the work is there. So, first we will talk about the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that is how does the context affect motivation is there. Now, according to Maslow, it is the needs are into hierarchy. Suppose I ask you what is the need of the human being? So, many of you may say roti, kapda or makan, and it is the food, clothes and shelter, but very few will say it is the food, water and air. Why? Because these physiological needs, that physiological need which is available, it does not motivate you, But a person who is having the, suppose he is living in such a part of the country where the water supply is very difficult and therefore, he has to bring the drinking water from the long distance, then definitely somebody says no, you will be shifted to that place where the water is ample water is available. Naturally, the employee will that person will feel motivated and he will shift to that particular location where the water is ample water is available. So, therefore, the physiological needs, right. So, they are motivated according to Maslow. First they motivate them, these particular needs are there, right. Second is need for the safety. So, it is that is the physical safety. So, the need for safety, that will be about that is the person wherever he is living in the society, whether he is physically safe or not, that he will see. Then next is the social needs are there, there is a need for affiliation with other people, that is belongingness is there, and then need of self esteem, and then need of self actualization. So, therefore, the Maslow has given this particular model in hierarchy. So, it goes from the physiological to safety, safety to social, social to self esteem, and self actualization is there. But nowadays what we talk about, that is this particular model, that is not necessarily into the hierarchy is there. The experience, our experience says that is not necessarily this model will be into hierarchy. Somebody may have the self esteem need, may not have the social and safety, like for example, the freedom fighter. So, freedom fighter were not having the safety need, right, they were having the self actualization need. They were working and motivated for their getting the freedom for their country. So, that is not any these physiological or safety social needs, these were not the needs were there. So, then it was not in hierarchy. So, the criticism of this theory is that that is the Maslow has mentioned it is in a hierarchy, right, but it has been observed practically that not necessarily hierarchy will be followed, right, and therefore, in that case many people may have the direct self actualization needs are there. So, physiological needs are the biological requirement, air, food, drink, shelter, clothing, warmth, sleep. Safety needs are there, need for security and safety becomes salient, financial security, health and wellness, safety against accidents and injury, love and belonging needs, social needs are there. Social and involves feelings of the belongingness, friendship, family, social groups, community groups, right. Then the self esteem needs, when the esteem at the bottom 3 levels has been satisfied, the esteem needs begin to play a more prominent role in motivating behavior. Now, here is the point, that is the need at the bottom level 3 levels have been satisfied. But as this is about mentioned in the theory model, Maslow's hierarchy theory model, but in fact it is not in hierarchy. The esteem needs begin to play a more prominent role in motivating behavior, that is the status and recognition is there. Self actualization needs, highest order need refer to the realization of a person's potential, self fulfillment, seeking personal growth, and the peak experience is there, and therefore, it is a realization of self, realizing self, that what I can do and what is my strength, is my potential. So, that is the achievement orientation is there. How does the personality affect motivation? So, Atkinson has proposed that an individual's tendency to exert effort towards the task accomplishment depends partly on the strength of his or her motivation to achieve success, or as Atkinson called it, achievement motivation orientation is there. So, therefore, it is whatever we say the in the theories motivation, right. So, therefore, the Atkinson says that it is the achievement orientation. So, naturally that is motivation was what we discussed so far. Motivation is the willingness to achieve the goal. So, the achievement of goal, accomplishment of goal, that is the achievement motivation. McLean further developed Atkinson's ideas and said that individuals with a strong achievement orientation strive to accomplish socially acceptable endeavors and activities. And it looks at 3 needs: need for achievement, need for power, and need for affiliation. So, need for achievement is the drive to excel, to achieve in relationship to a set of standards, while the need for power is the need to make others behave in a way they would have otherwise. So, therefore, in that case the need for achievement to drive to excel, right. That is the most of the organizations they want, that is their employees should have a very high need for achievement. And third one, as I mentioned, need for affiliation is a desire for friendly and close interpersonal relationship. So, now again it will be depend from individual to individual. Somebody will be more for need for affiliation, somebody will be more for need for power, somebody will be more for the need of achievement. People with higher levels of achievement orientation are likely to do better in school, pursue postgraduate degrees, get promoted more quickly and get paid higher salaries and bonuses than their lower scoring counterparts. So, therefore, in that case this need for affiliation, right. So, that is creating the direction for the employee to do the job voluntarily. Achievement orientation is often a key success factor for people who advances to the highest level of the organization, right. And naturally actually this we can understand, that is even from the junior level to the top level, the what motivates a person, his achievement motivation is there. So, achievement motivation will be there, so the person will be at the high level in the organization itself. Now, this was from the left hand side of the exercise. Right hand side is the goal, and that is goal accomplishment. So, how to clearly perform the targets of, after the affect the motivation is there. So, one of the most familiar and easiest formal system of motivation according to the Locke and Latham, goals are the most powerful determinants of the task behavior. Means goals are there, and then goals decide that how much one has to put the efforts. A theory that says that specific and difficult goals with feedback lead to the higher performance is there. So, therefore, in that case that will be requiring that a particular specific and the difficult goals are there, right. Goal should be SMART, which stands for the specific, measurable, attainable, relevant and the time bounded as there. And so therefore, whenever we talk about the goals, then definitely that has to be a very specific goal, right. And then naturally that these goals are supposed to be measurable and attainable, right. And then the relevant of the organization, what exactly they want to do, and the time bounded will be there, right. So, therefore, whenever we are talking about the goal setting, so in that case that the SMART, right, that approach to be adopted. How do clear performance targets affect motivation? Leaders wanting to improve individual or team performance should set high but achievable goals. Now, this is also very important. The goal should not be so difficult, that is it is not achievable. Whenever the person feels no, that is this goal is not achievable, then in that case he will be, it will be difficult for him, that is to keep motivated, because he starts believing that this is impossible. So, please do not keep the impossible goals, please keep the possible goals are there, and express confidence and support that the followers can get the job done. And from where you bring these possible goals? From the past experiences, past examples, surrounding industries, similar nature of jobs, and from there you bring those goals. So, therefore, those goals will be achievable goals. So, the followers can get that particular job done. The Pygmalion effect occurs when leaders articulate high expectations for followers. In many cases, these expectations alone will lead to the high performing followers and team is there. So, then no special guidance is required, only keeping the high goals, that is the, here it has been mentioned, right, that is that goal will be such an achievable goal will be there. So, therefore, already the person who is following that goal, that he will be able to achieve that goal. The Golem effect occurs when the leaders have little faith in their followers' ability to accomplish a goal. So, therefore, in that case they are rarely disappointed by the non-achievement by their followers are there. So, basically what happens, that is this is a Pygmalion effect. And therefore, in that case, that is that they believe that no, my follower will not be able to do, and the follower it is not able to do that. So, therefore, that is a non-achievement by the follower is because of that particular belief of the leader is there. So, the operant approach is there, right, and one popular way to change the direction, intensity or persistence of behavior is through rewards and punishment. and when properly implemented there is ample evidence to show that the operant approach can be an effective way to improve follower motivation and the performance is there. So, that is a reinforcement and there is a punishment, and the positive is there, negative reinforcement behavior is there, the positive punishment is there, negative punishment is there. And then whenever we are talking about the positive reinforcement, yes, the naturally better results will be there. Whenever we are talking about the operant conditioning is the punishment, then definitely that positive will be low and the negative may be high. However, it will depend on the situation itself. By improving the followers motivation and performance requires several steps. Clearly specify, specific goal is to be there. Determine if those behaviors are currently being punished, rewarded or the ignored, right. Find out what followers find rewarding and punishing. Now this is that will depend upon the follower, that he will decide what is rewarding and what is not punishing. So suppose you are talking about the working up to 6 o'clock. So that may be for the rewarding for somebody, somebody may be punishing is there. So therefore your interaction with your followers is very, very important. Be careful while creating perceptions of inequity when administering the individual tailored rewards are there, and therefore in that case we have to create the individual based rewards. And the leaders should not limit themselves to administering the organizational sanctioned rewards and punishment. Rather, leadership practitioners should administer rewards and punishment in a the contingent manner wherever it is possible. So, how to do? By empowerment. Empowerment is the final approach to motivation. Some people believe empowerment is about the delegation and accountability. It is a top down process in which senior leaders articulate a vision and specific goal and hold followers responsible for the achieving them. While the others believe empowerment is more of a bottom up approach that focuses on intelligent risk taking, growth, change, trust and ownership. Followers act as entrepreneurs and the owners who questions rules and make intelligent decisions are there, and accordingly they will be performing on the basis of the empowerment to the employees. The psychological components of the empowerment can be examined at both the macro and macro levels is there. Three macro psychological components underly empowerment are the motivation, learning and stress is there. So, these macro psychological components that can be studied. There are also 4 macro components of the empowerment is there, and these components can be used to determine whether employees are empowered or unempowered, and they include the self determination, meaning and competence and influence is there. The empowerment continuum is there. There is a self determined, sense of meaning, high competence and high influence is there. The unempowered employees are other determined, they are not sure if what they do is important, low competence and the low influence is there. So, leadership qualities to motivate and inspire your team is provide a vision and purpose, set clear goals, lead by example, encourage teamwork, be optimistic and positive, give praise and rewards, communicate with the team and empower team members. So, this recipe of the leadership qualities that will be keeping your employees more motivated and inspiring your team is there. So, and how the motivation is related with the leadership is there. Motivated members make for a stronger team, right, and the better communication equates to more success. Projecting a positive attitude is the paramount. The focus on intrinsic over extrinsic motivation, which we have discussed in the beginning, make it, so somebody will be motivated by intrinsic, somebody will be motivated by extrinsic motivation. Make individual connections that communicate the why, right, that is very important. Praise team members and build motivation, hold people accountable and provide feedback, right, ask questions often and work towards the solution and promote a healthy working lifestyle at the workplace is there. As usual, this is the case study that is about the carrot to the stick is there, and then on basis of this you can answer these questions. This is the research paper, principles, leadership and the teachers motivation, right, self determination theory analysis is there, transactional leadership would predict the controlled motivation is there, and this is the book, understanding the motivation and emotions, right, and then how these motivation and emotions that direct your successful leadership is there. So, therefore, why do they want what they want, right. So, therefore, in that case once you understand, right, then definitely in that case you can provide the right approach of direction. These are the references for the further studies. and this is all about the relationship between the motivation and leadership. Thank you.